Welcome to Elements of Mechanical Engineering, Module 1. In this class, we'll discuss about some of the important laws of thermodynamics, namely zeroth law, first law, second law, and third law of thermodynamics. We already studied some of the basic concept of thermodynamics in last class, such as thermodynamics, definition of thermodynamics. Then we studied about system, surrounding, and boundary. So after that we studied path, state, then work interaction and heat interaction, and we studied about some of the similarity between concept of work and heat, then similarity of work between the work and heat. So today we'll discuss some of the important laws of thermodynamics, that is zeroth law, first, second, and third law of thermodynamics. So we'll discuss one by one. First law, that is zeroth law of thermodynamics. So that is the basic laws, but this law is came into picture after first and second law of thermodynamics. So that's why this is the we have to consider before that, because one of the important law, that is basic for temperature and measure of temperature, that is based on this law, that is called zeroth law of thermodynamics. And always heat that will be flows from higher temperature region to lower temperature region. So based on this, the zeroth law states that when two bodies have equality of temperature with the third body, they in turn have equality of temperature with each other. It means that when a body A is thermal equilibrium with body B and also separately with body C, then B and C will be thermal equilibrium with each other. So before that we should know what you mean by thermal equilibrium. So thermal equilibrium is nothing but, so there should not a heat interaction between the two bodies, because if you consider a system, with the boundary, and it should be equilibrium with another system. Consider, if you suppose consider as a system, it should be equilibrium with B system in such a way that, so there should not be any heat interaction. It means that there should not be any temperature difference. So there should be a conducting boundary between the two system, such that the heat always flows from higher temperature to lower temperature. So after certain time, the temperature, there should not be any temperature difference. It means that the both system should have same temperature. It means that it should have same properties such as pressure, volume. Then we can say the both system are in thermal equilibrium. Suppose if a system having temperature around 100 degrees Celsius and B system having 50 degree Celsius, because the heat always flows from higher region to uh, lower region. It means that the temperature uh, that is at 100 degrees Celsius of a body, so after certain time, because of boundary between A and B, it is of conducting boundary, or we call it as diathermic boundary. So heat will start flows from system A to system B. So then what will happen? The 100 degree whatever the heat or temperature, so that will transfer to the system B through the diathermic wall. So after some time, the system A temperature will decrease and the system B temperature will increase. So system A temperature becomes 50, and system B temperature also 50. So it means that after certain time there should not be any heat transfer. So heat transfer occurs only when there will be a delta T should be greater than 0 degree Celsius. So that is possible when there will be a temperature difference. It means that heat always flow from higher temperature to lower temperature. So that is called thermal equilibrium. So when there will be a thermal equilibrium between the two systems, that is A and B. Similarly, if there will be a thermal equilibrium with another system we consider as C. So there will be a thermal equilibrium between the A and B. Then there will be a thermal equilibrium between the A and C. So then we can say B and C also in thermal equilibrium. So that is the statement of zeroth law. If A thermal equilibrium with B, then A thermal equilibrium with C, then B and C also thermal equilibrium with each other. Or we can say all system A, B, C are in thermal equilibrium. So that is the definition of zeroth law of thermodynamics. Now coming to the second law of thermodynamics, so that will give you the it's also called law of conservation of energy. As you know, law of conservation of energy state that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, but it can be converted into one form to another form. So that is called conservation of energy. So first law of thermodynamics, so that will uh, what is the need of studying this, because that will give you the relationship between the various form of energy and energy interaction between the system and surrounding. So when a system undergoes a thermodynamic cyclic process, the net heat supplied to the system from the surrounding is equal to the net work done by the system on its surrounding. So whatever the net in a cyclic process, the heat and work, so these are the path functions. So whatever the net heat supplied to the system from the surrounding is equal to the whatever the net work done by the system on its surrounding. So this is the first law of thermodynamic. It also states that the heat energy given to the system, so that is converted into internal energy and work done on the system. So it's nothing but delta Q is equal to delta U plus delta W. So delta U is nothing but change in internal energy within the system, and delta W is nothing but work done by the system. So that is nothing but the whatever the summation of internal energy plus work, so that will give you the total heat. So that is the first law of thermodynamics. So whatever the internal energy, so that there is nothing but various energy like kinetic energy or summation of potential energy that is associated with the molecules. So internal energy is nothing but kinetic energy and potential energy. So you know the when the temperature is more, means the kinetic energy also more. So the whatever the temperature is directly measure of kinetic energy, or kinetic energy is measure of temperature. That is because of molecule it possesses some internal energy. So first law of thermodynamics reveals about internal energy and work done. So either it may be positive or negative based on work done on the system or work done by the system. So work done on the system, so you have to consider it as negative, and work done by the system, so we have to consider as positive. So it may be plus or minus. That's why delta q is equal to delta u plus or minus delta w. So this is the statement of first law of thermodynamics. Now, before starting with the third law of thermodynamics, so we should know about some of the important device, so that will convert heat into work, as well as some of the device that will convert work into heat. So that is nothing but one such device is heat engine. So heat engine is nothing but a device that used to convert heat into work. You can see here. So this is the device, we call it as heat engine. So that will convert whatever the heat, so that is available from HTR. So HTR is nothing but higher temperature region. So we will get work, and by rejecting the heat into the lower temperature region. So that is the working of heat engine. So it will convert heat into work. If you consider a heat engine as a system, if you consider this as a system, so whatever the heat, so that will be, you have to supply into the system, such that you'll get work, that is from the system, that is W. So by rejecting heat, so that is heat rejected is given as Q2 to the sink. The sink we call it as lower temperature region, and HTR we call it as source of temperature, and sink of temperature. So source is nothing but higher temperature region, and sink is nothing but lower temperature region. So what will happen if you consider heat engine as a system, so which works always in a thermodynamic cycle, and it will convert the whatever the portion of the heat, some portion of the heat, into work. So when the heat transfer occurs from a body at a higher temperature to lower temperature body, so certain work, so that will we can you can see here. If you consider steam turbine, so what will happen in the boiler? So boiler is used to generate the steam. So the whatever the source of heat, so that will be required in order to generate the steam. So that steam you have to strike over this blade, that is nothing but moving blade. So here whatever the heat energy, so that you have to convert into mechanical energy. The turbine is nothing but a series of rotating blade, so that is connected to the shaft, so that when the rotation takes place, when the shaft rotates, when it is connected to the because of shaft rotation, so you'll get mechanical power, or we call it as shaft power. So if you couple to the generator, so you can convert mechanical energy into electric energy, because generator is having coils and stator, so that because of magnetic field, so you can induce current. So that is about working of steam power plant. And whatever the high pressure, high temperature steam, if you supply to the turbine, so in turbine always expansion takes place by doing certain work. So it means that high pressure, high temperature steam, so that will convert into low pressure, low temperature steam. So if you supply that into condenser, so the whatever the heat, so that will be rejected to the atmosphere, and it will convert into whatever the vapor state, that will convert into liquid state when it passes through the condenser. So condenser may be either it may be uh, air based or liquid based, water based. So you have to cool down, so it will condensate, or it should be in the water form. So that again you have to pump to the boiler. So again the work will whatever the process, that will be repeats, because it is a cyclic process. So it should start from 1 to 2, that is called pumping. 2 to 3, the help of a boiler will generate the steam. Then again 3 to 4, so whatever the uh, process that will take place, because generation of steam, that is high pressure, high temperature steam, then 4 to 5 expansion and work, and low to the low temperature, low pressure steam, and again condenser. So the rejection of heat takes place, that is Q, rejection of heat to the sink, we call it as lower temperature region. And in boiler, the addition of the heat takes place with help of whatever the coal, whatever the, because of fuel, the addition of heat takes place by burning the fuel. So that is nothing but heat engine. So whatever the amount of work done by the fluid, so during the cycle, so that can be used to run the generator or any device. So if you find the efficiency, or we call it as thermal efficiency, that will be output by input. So output will be is nothing but work, net work, so divided by input. So input is nothing but whatever the heat supplied, that is W divided by Q1. So W can be written as, it is the difference of Q1 minus Q2. So that's why it can be written as Q1 minus Q2 divided by Q1. So it will get 1 minus Q2 divided by Q1, which is nothing but thermal efficiency of heat engine. You know about first law of thermodynamics. So always first law of thermodynamics has some restriction, so by which the whatever the whole energy, so that cannot be converted into work, that is Q1 is nothing but whatever the heat supplied, that you cannot completely convert into W, that is nothing but work. So there will be always heat loss, that is Q2, that is nothing but rejection of heat to the sink or lower temperature region. So that's why whatever the efficiency, you cannot achieve 100%. So that is the about restriction of thermodynamics law, is first law of thermodynamics. So during the process there will be always some loss of energy, so that you know. So that is the one of the limitation of first law. Now we coming to know about reverse of heat engine, so that we called it as heat pump or refrigerator. So working of refrigerator I already studied. So before that we should know about heat pump. So heat pump, the whatever the working is exactly different. So that is uh, we call it as reverse heat engine. The direction of flow of heat and work are exactly opposite here. Whatever the direction of heat and direction of work are exactly opposite. Here we have to supply work such that whatever the lower temperature heat, you can convert into higher temperature heat. So these machines are used to remove heat from your body kept at a lower temperature and transfer this heat to a body at higher temperature. So example of reverse heat engine or heat pump is refrigerator as well as heat pump. So this is called heat pump. So first we'll discuss about heat pump. So heat pump is nothing but, again, it's a device, or we can say it's one system in which the working cycle delivers heat from lower temperature region to higher temperature region. So main purpose of heat pump is to take heat from lower temperature space to space and supply it to a higher temperature region for heating purpose. So this can be used very useful to keep our whatever the room warm during winter season. So that is the main function of heat pump. So that is whatever the working is exactly opposite to heat engine. Here whatever the output is Q1, that is whatever the heat desired heat you want, and W is nothing but input to the system, that is work in, and whatever the Q, that is out from the system to the higher temperature region. So here the efficiency we are going to measure in terms of performance, that is called coefficient of performance, that is output divided by input. So output is nothing but here heat effect, that is Q1, and input is nothing but work, that is W, work input. So COP you will get as Q1 divided by Q1 minus Q2, because W is nothing but difference between these two, Q1 and Q2, that is Q1 is the higher temperature, Q2 is the lower temperature heat. So this is Q2 is whatever the heat at lower temperature region, and Q1 is the heat at higher temperature region. Similarly, we have a refrigerator. So you know what is the function of refrigerator. It's also one type of device that can be used for you have a series of cycle. In that also there will be a four important component, that is condenser, compressor, evaporator, and expansion valve. So that device is used for delivers the heat from lower temperature region to higher temperature region. So main function of refrigerator is to cool the space by absorbing the heat from the surrounding, and maintain the whatever the space at lower than surrounding temperature. So you know what is the function of refrigerator. So uh, we have used such device in our day-to-day application. So that is the main concept of heat engine and heat pump. So now with the help of this basics, we have to study about one more law, that is second law of thermodynamics. So second law of thermodynamics so reveals about direction and condition of heat. So that is very important. So based on there are two classical statement of second law of thermodynamic. One is Kelvin Planck statement, second one Clausius statement. So first we'll see Kelvin Planck statement, then later we'll see Clausius statement. So Kelvin Planck statement state that so it is impossible to construct an engine which will operate in a cycle, will produce no effect other than the transfer of heat from a single thermal reservoir and the performance of an equivalent of work. So it means that so it is impossible to convert, so whatever the if you use heat engine without releasing the heat to the heat sink, so you cannot done certain work, the amount of work you cannot done without rejecting the heat. So that is the statement of Kelvin Planck statement. So you know what is the working of heat engine. So heat engine means there will be higher temperature source, similarly lower temperature source. So higher temperature source we call it as source, and the lower temperature region we call it as sink. So in order to work done, so there will be a heat rejection, because so whatever the entire uh, whatever the heat you cannot convert into work, there should be a amount of heat, so that should transfer to the surrounding, or we can say lower temperature region. So that is the Kelvin Planck statement. So it is impossible to construct a engine or a device in order to carry the work, so without losing or without rejecting heat to the lower temperature region. So that is nothing but Kelvin Planck statement. Similarly, we have one more statement, that is Clausius statement. So it is about a heat pump. So you know already working of heat pump. So heat pump can be used to convert the lower temperature heat to higher temperature heat. So with the help of certain work, there should be a work done on the system, then only you can convert lower temperature heat to higher temperature heat. So that is from Q1 to Q2. Okay. So this is Q1, this is Q1 and this is Q2. So clause's statement states that it is impossible to construct heat pump. So without supplying work, you cannot convert lower temperature heat to higher temperature heat. It means that you cannot uh, convert lower temperature heat to higher temperature without doing any work. So that is impossible. So that is the statement of second law of thermodynamics, is nothing but Clausius statement. So these two laws are very important because thermodynamics laws that will give you the direction and condition of energy, because the whatever the work input is required in order to convert, that is the direction is placed very important, and conditions, so otherwise you cannot construct heat pump in case of Clausius statement. Similarly, in case of Kelvin Planck statement, there should be always rejection of heat to the lower temperature region, otherwise you cannot construct heat engine. So that is related to Kelvin Planck statement. So this is about second law of thermodynamics. Now we'll move towards one more law, that is third law of now coming to the third law of thermodynamics. The third law of thermodynamics states that entropy of a system approaches constant value as the temperature approaches absolute zero. So it means that entropy of the system when it approaches a constant value as the temperature approaches absolute zero. So absolute zero is nothing but 0 degree Kelvin is nothing but minus 270 degree Celsius, because this will be lesser than whatever the melting point of ice, that is less than 0 degree. So this is very difficult to achieve such temperature. If you achieve such temperature, then whatever the entropy, that will be entropy of a system, that will be zero. So that is the statement of thermodynamics. So entropy is nothing but degree of it's a measurement of disorder in the system. So it is nothing but degree of disorder you have to measure. So it means that whenever the molecule, if it is heats up, then whatever the molecules, that will spread all over, and it becomes the disorder will be changed. Similarly, when there will be a kinetic energy less, the less in the kinetic energy means whenever the temperature of the object or substance, that will be very less, it means that the degree of disorder is also less. So when absolute 0 degree temperature of a substance, there should not be any kinetic energy, it means that the entropy becomes zero. So that is the third law of thermodynamics. So that is like perfect crystal. The perfect crystal means whatever the molecules, that will be closely packed. It means that the whatever the energy level, so that will be very less. When the energy level increases, it means that when the temperature of the substance that will increases the order, so that will be chain. So it means high energy state means the degree of disorder also more, it means that entropy also more. So in absolute 0 degree or minus 270 degree Celsius, whatever the uh, entropy of the system, so that approaches a constant value is nothing but 0. So that is the statement of third law of thermodynamics. Now coming to the concept of internal energy, you already studied in this first law of thermodynamics. So delta Q is equal to delta U plus delta W is nothing but it is the energy associated with internal structure of the matter, or internal energy is defined as the sum of microscopic energies of all the molecules of a system, which may appear in several complex form. So these form may be include intermolecular potential energy, or associated with forces between the molecules. So there may be a potential energy between the molecules, or molecular kinetic energy associated with the transition and rotational velocity of each molecule. This kinetic energy always possess whatever the temperature, because temperature will increase based on kinetic energy of the molecule. So this is the some of the concept of internal energy. So intramolecular energy within the molecular or atomic structures, so that will be always related to certain forces. And internal energy is primarily and a function of temperature, because kinetic energy of the molecule always function of temperature. So that is very important. If internal energy more means temperature also more, temperature more means so heat also more, whatever the amount of heat, so that will be transfer across the boundary, so that also more. Temperature is one form of temperature is the one property. So there will be basically two important property I forgot to tell in the uh, last class. There will be two property, one is called intensive property, another one is called extensive property. So temperature is intensive property. Intensive property means the property, it is independent of matter or independent of mass, then we call it as intensive property. Extensive property means the property which depends on mass or matter, so that is called extensive property. Because temperature, uh, if you consider temperature of uh, assume there will be a water containing in the vessel. So whatever the quantity of water is more, and temperature of that will be assume 60 degree Celsius. The same whatever the liquid, you can use it in a small amount. That is, if you use a glass, if you measure temperature with the help of two thermometer, one you have to keep in glass, another you have to keep in vessel. So you can see the temperature will be same, because it is independent of mass. So if you consider, or independent of quantity, so that is why the temperature we call it as intensive property. It is always independent of mass. There will be some property, so that will be depend on mass, such as energy. So energy is the one of the important extensive property, because energy depend on mass. If mass is less means whatever the energy also less. If more amount of mass you are using, it means that more amount of energy, such as coal is form of a source of energy, so that can be used. If more amount of coal you use, you will get more amount of heat energy after burning. So that is the main difference between the two properties. One is intensive property, another one is extensive property. Now coming to the one more important property, that is enthalpy. So enthalpy is mathematical combination of internal energy and pressure energy of the fluid. So it is expressed as a capital H equal to U plus PV. So P into V is nothing but pressure energy. So that is pressure into volume. So pressure into volume, pressure is Newton per meter square, and V is meter cube. So Newton per meter square into meter cube. So meter square and meter square will cancel and you will get Newton meter. So this is nothing but energy. So Newton meter is the unit of energy. So enthalpy is nothing but combination of internal energy plus pressure energy. So it is of extensive, it is dependent on mass, or you can write specific enthalpy. If you write in a small letter, it is nothing but specific enthalpy. So anything word specific comes means you have to divide it by mass. So that is something divided by mass is nothing but specific. So common expression in SI system has a unit of kilojoule per kg. Then unit of enthalpy is kilojoule per kg. Similarly, entropy, already we defined the amount of energy that is not available for work during certain process, or we call it as measure of a disorder of a system. If the order changes, so that will be you can consider as entropy of the system. So this is about thermodynamics laws and concept of internal energy. In next class, we'll discuss about some of the important topics. So how we can generate steams along with the different properties of steam. So and we have to know about different types of different stages of steams. That is, I will discuss in next class. Thank you.